Hi there, how are you, internet world, and everyone that's logged in for the webinar? I can only apologise to all of you for the mix-up that there has been with Webinar Jam, the company. For some reason, they haven't equated that the UK have moved into our summertime, and so our Greenwich Mean Time has been shifted by their software for some reason better known to themselves. I'm assuming you can all see me. It says that we're live on the screen, and of course we are joined here today by the fantastic Las Vegas headline mentalist and mind reader, Mr. Paul Draper. How are you, Paul?
Very good. So here I am in the McBride House of Mystery at the Mystery School in Las Vegas. I decided to come here. We were spending a little time together and thought this was a nice spot. So you can see all the McBride and Eugene Berger and Larry Haas magic to purchase above my heads as we're talking.
That's awesome. I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, if you look into the world of magic, Jeff McBride, is it card manipulation he calls it?
He was the headliner at Caesar's Palace here in Las Vegas for many years, and he has the largest school of magic certainly in America, but possibly in the world for magicians.
Yeah, I mean he's absolutely fantastic. Carl and I had the privilege. Well, we saw both of you last year at Hypno Thoughts. I think you were on the Friday night, or on the first night of the conference with Richard Rumble, I believe.
Right.
Or I can't remember. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was Richard Rumble you were with, and then Jeff McBride performed on the second evening. And they're absolutely fantastic shows. And I mean the things that he does with those playing cards is kind of unbelievable, really. Years of practice, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. So this is exciting. There are people in here. Can they see us? Because when I'm talking, my face isn't popping up for me. I just see you.
All right. Okay. Well, it's popping up my end, so I'm assuming that they. Yeah. But when you're talking, you're big on my screen.
I weigh 250 pounds. I'm big everywhere I go.
Yeah, that's it. But it's all coming up in the sidebar now. People are saying they can hear us, and everything's sort of coming into play now. So anyway, Paul, let's talk about you more, because obviously some of the people in the UK might not know who you are. So
right.
How long have you been in magic and mentalism and mind reading, and how did you first start?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think most magicians and mentalists came into this field when they were about 8 years old, 8, 9 years old. It's almost like it's a calling that you're called to do that sort of work. For me, growing up where I did, I found I grew up in a little place called Utah, in the middle of nowhere in America, and I thought to myself as a boy, if I had magic powers, that maybe people would like me. And I went and learned tricks in order to start that journey. Now later on, I went on and I studied cultural anthropology and magic, shamanism, and religion, and people and cultures of the world. And these are classes that I taught at the university level. And I've incorporated human universals, the ways we think, cognitive anthropology, because I've sat on the board of the Anthropology of Consciousness. I lecture and publish in that area regularly. I've mixed that in with ideas from hypnotism, magic, and mentalism to create a universal show that makes people feel as if they're experiencing a superhero come to life, right? And that's the goal. And to create an intimate experience where they have a moment of wonderment that they experience something for real.
Yeah, because this was something we were talking about, wasn't it? About stage presence and stuff like that. For you guys at home, you won't know, but I spoke to Paul a couple of days ago when we were getting all of this stuff sorted out, ready for you guys. And we were talking about, stage presence and characters. And this is something that I know, I know you take them very seriously, Paul. And when you do your workshops and stuff like that, and we'll talk more about that in a little while. But it's this whole character building and creating this character that's kind of it's you, but it's not you, if that makes sense.
Well, what I'm interested in is the ability to get my work out in front of others. And when somebody is making a purchasing decision, we have to think from the standpoint of the individual that is purchasing the entertainer. If we don't think from that standpoint, then we're not going to be booked. And once they've made the decision, I'm going to hire a mentalist, I'm going to hire a hypnotist, there are so many to choose from and so many price ranges to choose from. And how do they choose? Because many of us are doing similar effects on stage, and they're choosing based on our branding. They're choosing based on our character, on our story, on how we make the audience feel, on the words that we use, far more than just the effects that we perform. And so a big part of creating your mentalist character for me is thinking that end point of return on investment, making money, and being able to sell this show. And so to do that, we have to start with, what is the show that I'm creating? Who is it for? Who is the buyer? Why should they want this? Why should they want me others? How should I target it? And it will also help everyone in their buying decisions of effects that they want to perform. Because once we understand who we are, then we choose the effects that match that and tell that narrative, tell that story, rather than just buying one of everything. And that's a big savings to the pocket too. Now in this class, I will be teaching effects, but my primary goal is to teach effects that are very modular and can be changed and adapted to different performing styles, from close-up to television to small parlor to stage. Just this week, I've performed for a group of 30 and for a group of 3,000 performing the same effects. But what do we do to make those adaptable to those situations? I've performed for major technological companies. Yesterday I had a show for Oracle Computers out of San Francisco and Silicon Valley. And then next week I'm performing for the president of Sony Music and Television and Electronics in his home for 30 people for a party. And so how do we, this is the great thing about adding mentalism to what we do, is that it can be adapted for 30 in a home or 3,000 on the big stage, and it doesn't require loading in a lot of equipment. It doesn't require to be able to switch on a dime. You don't even have to set up chairs.
Yeah, that's it. At least as a hypnotist, we have to set up the chairs.
Yes.
But I think
you have to have enough people. You have to have enough people to hypnotize. You have to have enough people to hypnotize, enough people to watch, enough people in case some don't take. But my show, if there are 5 people in the audience, they can have a show. If there are 3,000 people in the audience, they can have a show. And so, how do we create a show that you can carry around in your glove box of your car, or in your suit pocket, that if there aren't enough people there at a fair or a festival and you have to do something now or have to audition for a group of people, to still create an entertaining hypnosis experience without having all the people there. And these are the topics we're going to delve into in a deep way in the class.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I know that there's this, it's kind of the unwritten rule that you don't perform, especially hypnosis shows, to small groups of people, because the numbers are against you. And I mean, this is something we're actually running our 3-day stage and performance masterclass here about a month before you come over, actually. And we'll be talking about that. I mean, the smallest audience I ever worked to was 15 people, and I managed to get 6 out of those 15.
Fabulous. Not everyone can do that.
No, and I know a lot of people that would not have had the courage or the conviction to stand there and tell them this is how it's going to be. You know, some of you are going to come up here and we're going to have a show this evening, whether you kind of like it or not. And that comes with, I suppose, the confidence and experience of being on stage and being able to perform that show regardless of your surroundings. But I think that it's a good element. Maybe you can demonstrate a little bit of your mind over matter and spoon bending for us in a moment. But the you know, if you were out, you know, maybe in a social environment where you weren't planning on doing anything, and there's only a couple of people, and for a starting hypnotist perhaps that doesn't have that confidence to be able to just go and do it with a couple of people in a public setting, then to incorporate a little bit of mentalism or something like that, a little bit of cold reading or mind reading, and to prove the power of the mind, more of as a convincer than anything, can be a powerful little tool for them.
Absolutely. Just this week on Monday, I had one of the top agencies in Las Vegas, one of the most successful talent booking agencies in Las Vegas that I used to work with a lot, but haven't for the last few years. One of the new vice presidents is an individual from another agency that I have been working with, and she came back to this agency. It was a step up for her. And so she had the leadership of that agency sit down with me to see what I do. Now, there were 4 people in the room. And imagine as a hypnotist going to one of these big agencies, an agency that can make or break your career in a place like Las Vegas, that can choose whether you're going to be performing a $10,000 gig or not. And they say, all right, show us your show. There are 4 of us, and we're going to watch. And how do you overcome that situation? Well, how you overcome that situation is by knowing who your character is, knowing what your skill set and powers are that you're presenting, and then presenting some micro effects, some on-the-spot effects that still represent the grandeur of the full show, but there for the 4 of them right there, so that they still understand, I'm an expert of the power of the mind, I'm an entertainer, I'll make you laugh, I'll engage you, and you can tailor your show to that moment, and they can say, yes, I can see you on stage, and they can imagine the fullness of it, and get them so enticed by that that they're willing to watch your not just your minute-and-a-half clip, but your full demo reel, right? And that's, I think those are the most important things to have. When people see us after seeing us perform on stage, they expect us to be able to do these things on the spot, everywhere. And if they come up to us, I think there are ways to handle that in a good way and ways to handle that in a bad way. I don't think we need to be everyone's trick monkey, but I also don't think that we should turn down the opportunity to possibly book a gig from that individual. Because that individual that's asking us, well, can you do something right now? Well, that's someone that's passionate about what we do, and they're passionate about us, and they recognize us. How few people recognize us, right? They recognize us, and they may be the owner of a company, or their wife might be, or their brother might be. And this can be an opportunity to close that deal and to make that sale. That's been happening a lot more to me. I'm a regular on a television show on the Hallmark Channel that's shot at Universal Studios in Hollywood, and I perform there all the time, and it's made it so I'm starting to be a name in America here, and because of that I'm being stopped more and more often by individuals who say, wow, you're the guy from TV, can you show me something? And so I've developed a whole series of can you show me something with everyday objects wherever you are, that I'll share with people when they come to the class, so you have that ready to go.
Yeah, and it's like you were just saying there, you're now becoming more and more famous, in essence, around America as a whole. And I think what maybe some people don't kind of comprehend, I'm sure there'll be people that watch this webinar back, and maybe some that are in the room that have never been to America. Well, the sheer size of America, it's insane. And as much as yourself, Paul, have been a headline act in Las Vegas, which is testament enough itself to your abilities as an entertainer and a mentalist, to actually reach those far and wide areas of America. The only key way you're going to do that is on television. And do you feel that it's that character that you've created, that persona that you are on stage, that has led you to those opportunities to get that television work?
I think it's all about fulfilling dream fulfillment of individuals, because we watch magicians perform sometimes, and they'll take a white handkerchief and turn it into a red handkerchief, right? And I don't think anyone sits at home and says, oh, if only I could turn a white handkerchief into a red handkerchief, suddenly my life would be better, women would love me, I'll get a raise at work and an A in my classes in school. I adore Paul Daniels in the UK. I think he's hilarious and funny and just spectacular. He opens his show with probably the best cup and ball routine that's ever been created. And yet at the end, does any audience member say, if only I could sneak a ball underneath a cup when no one was looking, it would change my life. Oh, I wish I had that ability. But I do think that when I can tell when people are lying or not, when I can change matter in front of them, when I can control the actions of others, when I can predict their thoughts, when I can know the intimate details about people, when I know things that no one else can know, I think they look at that and say, if I had that power, I could get a better job. If I had that power, I could make that sale. I could make that woman fall in love with me, or that man fall in love with me. I would get an A on every test in school. My life would be better. And so there is a certain fantasy fulfillment to this character. I also think that because I come with so much real academic credential, and that I'm bringing in so many real things, not just magic tricks. So often the child buys the magic wand from the magician, goes home, and it does nothing. Now, the magician can say, well, it continues their imagination, and they can have the world of wonder, but in my show they learn actual skills that they can then transfer into their real lives outside of the world of showbiz and entertainment. Real skills of how to have a super memory. Real skills of how to tell if someone's lying or not. Real skills to know things about people and read people. And the intermixing of the show and the real skills, I think that's what's really propelled me to have the success that I've had.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And I think that, as much as very small tricks, things that you can carry around in your pocket, and like you were saying there, you've adapted a lot of everyday items that you can do stuff with. A great things to break the ice with people if you're in a social environment or something like that, especially if they're coming to you and asking you to do something. It just breaks the ice for them and makes things a little easier. And also I think, the general public now, because there is so much magic on television, not so much mentalism, but magic, but I think the general public now are becoming more savvy to what's going on with thumb tips, and they're very much readily available on eBay and stuff like that. It takes a very quick Google search to find some of this stuff and how it's being done. Whereas with the mentalism, and I think that's why we were talking about Derren Brown earlier off air, that's why he's had such phenomenal success here in the UK, because he's not in the public's perception performing tricks.
Right. When people watch Derren Brown, they believe they're watching an amazing man. They want to spend time with him. They want his abilities. They believe that his abilities are connected to reality, and it's something that if they watch enough, that they can learn to do. They don't think they're watching X-Men. They don't think they're watching the superhero movie, the latest Iron Man movie. They think they're watching someone walking around in the world doing this, and maybe they are. But I think that the key to all of that is that it does fulfill that within them. And hypnosis has that power too. People don't look at hypnosis and feel that it's a trick. People feel that it's real. They feel that if they watch the hypnotist, that hypnotist can walk off stage and hypnotize their teacher into giving them an A, or hypnotize that beautiful person to fall in love with them. They think a hypnotist is one step away from Robin Williams playing the genie in Aladdin. And there is some of that is true. There are some things a hypnotist can do, and some of that is the wilds of their imagination. And it's our job as show people. I don't think that when watching Peter Pan that the girl playing Peter Pan needs to say, now, by the way, I'm actually a girl, I'm not Peter Pan, I don't really fly. I think some of it is creating the illusion and creating that fantasy fulfillment and fulfilling people's dreams. I think another big part of it is creating an entertaining, engaging show where there are reactions from people every 30 seconds, laughter, cheering, applauding, interacting every 30 seconds, understanding the difference between good laughs and bad laughs, and having the tools to create these in a way that separates us from everybody else in our market, to differentiate ourselves and make ourselves appealing to buyers, both that have never seen us before and that are sitting in that audience. Because after every show we do, there should be someone wanting to buy us for another show, or we're doing it wrong.
That's it. At the end of the day, as an entertainer, you're a product. Right. You're a product of yourself, and then as much as clinical hypnotherapy and what we do on stage, as much as they're the same element, they actually couldn't be further apart, because in a clinical setting, you know, there's obviously a lot of honesty between the therapist and their client and stuff like that. And then when it comes to the stage, it's like we were talking about people's characters and character development. You know, it's, you know, never give your power away. You need them to have that complete belief that that is how this is going to play out, and that you have that ability to do that.
When we're talking to clinicians, so as a cognitive anthropologist, some of the work I've done has been with major healthcare systems here in America. Orlando healthcare system, that's where Disney World is, and some of these big healthcare systems in Las Vegas and in Los Angeles. And part of what I would like to teach to clinicians, to clinical hypnotherapists, is that your show still exists. Your set is that room. Your costume is what you wear. The theater begins with the lighting and the sound in the room when they come in. Your cast includes the receptionist that they meet before they come in and meet you. Sometimes the pre-show information is on, they're filling out on their sheets before they come in or on your website. The stories that you start and end with. When we watch any great show or have any great experience, that's part of it. And so I've been hired to work with surgeons, to work with physicians, to work with clinicians all over the States in order to help them create that customer experience and that show and that character and that brand, and all of these same pieces apply to the clinician that apply to the stage performer. Now, they're different answers, but it's the same questions that lead us to the right place.
That's it. And you know, it's, you know, when we teach hypnotherapy, we're actually flying. Carl and I have got to fly out to Germany on late Sunday night, early Monday morning, because we're out there teaching clinical hypnotherapy for a week, and then, you know, we come back and 3 weeks later we're teaching stage hypnosis. You know, those building blocks don't change. The building blocks stay the same, and I think that's very much what you're saying there. That, you know, you can incorporate, or you need to use those same abilities to create, even if it be your therapeutic setting, that element of show.
Right. One of the things that mentalists do is called a peek. When you glance at something, right? With the right and wrong moment to glance at something. And when you glance at that something, you don't want the audience to see you. You don't want them, right? You don't want them to see you glance at it. And so how do we glance at things without them seeing it? And that's been a big part of my work with clinical people too, is to understand the flow of the eyes. That the wrong moment to peek is, hello, Mr. Johnson. That doesn't make the client feel like they're loved, like you've read their charts, like you care about them, like you're going to give them a pure experience. So when is the right moment to take that peek? When is the right moment to say their name? When is the right moment to say, you know, what is the power of a person's name? You know, these are important questions. I'm going to talk about in our classes. There was a folklorist named Joseph Campbell, who wrote The Hero with a Thousand Faces, as well as other great books. His book, Hero with a Thousand Faces, is the cornerstone by which the Star Wars movies were written, Avatar was written, a lot of the latest Marvel movies were written. Some of the most successful movies that have come out of Hollywood have been based structurally on the Campbellian hero myth. And how can we, as heroes, because that's what we are a hero that is coming on stage and we are the protagonist of our show, how do we create that experience to the audience that resonates with the core human mind to say, oh, I have seen the superhero, I have seen the power character on stage. What are those steps, and how can they be incorporated into our structure so that we reach into the deepest, corest part of the human mind, going back, 200,000 years, 1.8 million years of human development in order to reach what it is that resonates as a hero. And in that way, we really connect with the audience, that they want to watch us, they want to follow us, and they want to be one with us.
Yeah, that's it. And that's obviously stuff that we're going to cover on your course when you come over, which we'll be talking to everyone about a little bit in just a little while. Now, you yourself, I know when we were speaking the other day, you were saying that you have brought products to market.
Right. I don't have a lot of products to market. I have 3 sets of lecture notes. I have one on cold reading with playing cards, how to take someone you've never met before, look at them, observe them, and read them and know things about them. Now, as an anthropologist, I do this. I was trained to do this for what's called ethnography, where I'm dropped into a culture that I know nothing about, or very little about, and may not even speak the language. And my job is to not be killed, right? To incorporate within that society, to find informants who are going to work with me, and to come to some deep understanding of that culture that I can then use to teach my culture about theirs. And those same skills are transferable to be used in an entertainment purpose, where we take an individual we know nothing about, we've never seen before, and we're able to read them and know things about them that they don't think anybody could know. And so that's the first one. The second one is on character development, story structure, second lecture note. Third lecture note, I have the Campbellian hero myth. The third lecture note is on introductory mentalism effects for people that have never been a mentalist. And these are close-up, stage, television, things that are transferable, that are expandable and shrinkable, because I want to be able to carry as little as possible and have it be available for every situation. A big part of my job with the Venetian Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, which is owned by Sheldon Adelson, one of the wealthiest men in the world, is he would call me day or night and have me perform for his guests in Macau, China, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, here in Las Vegas. Sometimes I performed for people that didn't speak English, sometimes adults, sometimes children, sometimes huge grand ballrooms, sometimes 2 or 3 people. And I wanted to have one bag that I could show up with and be ready for whoever was there out of the one bag. And that was really quintessential to me. Then and then being able to interface in that way. So those are my 3 lecture notes. Then I have a DVD on 5 effects. You talked about the thumb tip. 5 effects with a thumb tip that you can do a 30-minute mentalism show with just 5 thumb tips, nothing else, and using them in a way that people will not look it up on YouTube as a thumb tip in any way. And another lecture note that I did through another magic company on sales, branding, and personality tests, how to read somebody's personality, find out about their personality, and give them a reading that makes them feel like you've really touched the very core soul of them in a religious, almost a religious sense, but that in a magical sense, like Santa Claus is able to know our innermost truths, like Indiana Jones finding our secrets, right? Like Sherlock Holmes reading us. And I'm very interested in the ability to create those moments for people, because really, in this technological world, we are trying so hard to be recognized as a person, and instead we're sitting alone in our room with a computer and not being recognized as a person. And one of the greatest gifts we can give another human being is the ability to feel as if they matter, and to make them matter to us in those moments. What separates Homo sapiens, what we are, from Neanderthal, right? Neanderthal was stronger than us. They were bigger than us, muscular. They had bigger bone structure. But we could communicate, form tribes, work together, and drop rocks on Neanderthal. I mean, Neanderthal made it to England before Homo sapien did. We went over to the Caucasus Mountains and came back, and they were already there, habitating, and we had to take it over. And so what separated us, again, was our ability to treat each other as humans. And so you're giving people a fabulous gift when you treat them as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as we've been talking predominantly about stage performance and stuff like that, we just want to make it very clear that the 2 days that Paul's going to be here in the UK with us and we're going to be running this workshop, this is from beginner level. We are going to be able to take you from, you don't need to know anything about mentalism or cold reading, and don't think for one second this is going to be solely about, standing up on these great big stages and performing live stage shows. Because I think it's equally as important, and I'm sure Paul will agree with me here, that for therapists and stuff like that, the power of going and doing lecture demos, or the amount of people that don't do lecture demos in this country, in my opinion, is frankly ridiculous. We tell all our students to get out there and go and do this, because You've got the Women's Institute, the Odd Fellows, the Rotary, all of these different clubs that are out there, the Freemasons, and they all need guest speakers to come in. And the amount of clients you can pull off of these, it's unbelievable. And like you were saying, to get out there, have that confidence to be able to just do some stuff with them, even if it's close up around a table. Or, I mean, in fairness, a lot of these places don't have, I'm not sure about America, but I know here in the UK, you're not talking about hundreds of people at any one time. You're talking about probably 40 to 60 people on average in a room. Well, statistically, a percentage of those are going to become clients if you portray yourself properly in that lecture demo sort of scenario. Is that something you back me up on there, Paul?
Absolutely. There's also abilities to perform for universities, to go and speak to psychology classes, to communication classes, to business classes, often with only 20 or 30 people in the room. But those individuals are individuals who both they and their parents and their professors have an income stream and have an interest to be a potential client. We also have the ability to go to academic conferences and to present at academic conferences about our research and what we're finding. And adding some of these demonstrations in there lightens the mood, engages the audience, and makes you more memorable to them. Talking about groups, of course, like the Masons and Lions and Elks and Kiwanis and all of these groups, they are always looking for speakers. Every town has an arts council of some sort. And it gives you the skills to be able to tour the world, because like what I'm doing here with you, I would like very much for my sweetheart and I to come to the UK. Both of my grandmothers are from the UK, and I would like to come there. And so I'm using the skills as an entertainer to be able to come and afford a free vacation. And you can do that too. You can go to any major resort hotel in the world and say, if you will give me a free week in your hotel, I will perform 2 activity events for your guests at your resort this week that will make them, engage them and entertain them and all of this. And suddenly you have a free paid vacation in the best resorts in the world for your family, because you do short little shows for 30 people that are staying at that resort.
Yeah, that's it. And it's a thing that I don't know if other people are aware of it. I'm sure you are, but the cruise lines, they do this as well, because when those ships are going to be out at sea for 2 or 3 days and they're not going to dock, they've got nowhere to dock in that time, they have people on board to give half an hour workshops and seminars. Now, some of these things can be absolutely appalling and boring beyond all sorts of belief, but they're paid to be there by the cruise line.
You can have a free cruise to the Caribbean, stay in a passenger cabin, all your meals cared for, and all you have to do is one talk.
Yeah, that's it, and it's not difficult. It really isn't. It's like, when we finish our courses, even when we finish our 2 or 3 day courses, I say to people, could you stand up for half an hour and talk about the power of the mind? Yes. Right then, well, then there's no excuse for you not to be out there doing it. And I think sometimes they just need that little bit more of a push, or maybe a little bit more confidence, and possibly by using certain elements of cold reading and mentalism and stuff like that, that will give them an incentive to go and do it.
And in this class, you will not only be given the thing so that you can get out and stand behind the thing and do the thing, right, the bit of mentalism, but also we're going to be talking about story structure, of how to write your scripts and how to present your scripts, and how those scripts are different if you're performing in the UK or if you're performing in America, how those scripts are different if you're on a cruise line or close-up or stage. I'll be talking about scripting and character development and how to go through the process of creating each of those in a way that's really easy to do. Remember, I taught both anthropology and oral communication at the university level. I've taught thousands of students how to do this, and I have structures that work and are easy and transferable that will be very quick for you to adapt and use in your own work.
Yep, fantastic. I just had to say we're starting to get some people coming into the room now that have obviously, for some reason, the software has caught up with them in a time zone that doesn't exist today. But we knew that was going to happen today. Unfortunately, for any of those of you that have joined us now, I'll explain again very briefly. Webinar Jam, the company that we use to host our webinars on, for some reason better known to themselves, hadn't synced up for the new Greenwich Mean Time. so it pushed everything back by an hour. Some people we were able to get a direct link out to, and they were able to come in early doors. Others, unfortunately, we haven't been able to get that link out to. But do not worry. We will be emailing you. I think you automatically get emailed by the software, but if you don't, we will be emailing you over the next 24 hours with a link to the replay, so you get to see this whole webinar with Paul. Now, Paul, just talking about therapists rather than the stage side of things, but for therapists, how beneficial is it to you? Or, is there anything that you can think of just off the top of your head, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit now,
Sure.
just some small little techniques that, they could incorporate into maybe their inductions or something like that would give it that little added edge?
Right, but let me also give a quick intro first for the people that are just coming in, so you know where I am. I'm Paul Draper. I'm at the McBride House of Mystery and School of Magic and Mystery and Mystery School in Las Vegas. Jeff McBride is a magician that was a headliner at Caesar's Palace. He and I did a show together for Hypno Thoughts Live this last year, and here in America, if you'll be here coming up in April, he has a show called Hypnotic Wizardry, a lecture series with him and Richard Nongard, who will be talking about mixing magic and hypnosis. But I'm coming to the UK to talk about the mix of mentalism and hypnosis. I've performed at the Venetian Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas for many years, and have had my own television shows on TV, been a regular on the Hallmark Channel here, worked with Chris Angel, who's a famous magician in the States, and I've toured 22 cities in the UK just last year, and so this is an opportunity for us to meet too. But the question that was just posed, we're talking about specifically for therapists in their work. I think some of the key things that I want to share with therapists are how to be better at being a character within the minds of their patient who is a hero that they can look up to, trust, and feel safe with. Not just that certificate on the wall, not just the bookcase in the corner, but by letting them know who you are on your hero's journey and that you are a hero in their life makes them feel comfortable. We have lost this piece where our doctors are heroes, where our doctors are individuals that we go to because they've been to the mountaintop, they've spoken to the gods and brought back the wisdom, and reincorporating that to give them confidence in seeing us and give them excitement about being in our presence. I also want to give therapists skills of how to tell when people are lying or not, of cold reading individuals, to know things about them that they're not saying, because sometimes we can use that ethnographic work, because I'm also a professor of cultural anthropology, that study of people, in order to look at them and know things about them, and that allows us to toss ideas out that may take us in deeper directions where they reveal more that helps them. And so this is the start of what I'd like to do to help clinicians that are interested in doing this work.
Oh, yeah. And it's like I've been watching, I can't think of his name now, Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street. I've been watching some of his seminars lately, and he's very good. He talks about tonality and the way we say things, that people don't realize how badly they're delivering a line, even as such as, hi, how are you sort of thing. They put all their intonation in the wrong places, so they're not finishing people on the high to get them to convert. He's doing it in a sales essence. But it's like he was saying that when people see you for the first time, it's in under a second they've already made a judgment about you. On the telephone, it's kind of within 4 seconds they've made a judgment about you. They've built this preconceived idea of who you are, and that needs to. The only way you can change that is by standing up properly and delivering yourself and using the right tonality when you talk. He said, because otherwise, you're right behind the 8 ball from the start, and that's the last place you want to be. And I think that people learning these skills that you're going to impart to them here is going to help them to be able to, on those first approaches, and when they're doing their pre-talks, and when they've got clients coming in, or when they're even talking to people on the phone, it's going to give them added extras and bonuses that are going to be able to help them with that.
There's a great book on that by a man named Malcolm Gladwell called Blank, about the first interactions with someone and how that affects them. If they're interested just on stage presence as an entertainer, I've got one here from the fellow's house that I'm in. They got The Show Doctor from Jeff McBride. It's a great book on that. But there are a lot of books on these interactions and presence, and I'll talk about that on how we wear and the research on that. There was recently research done that people have greater respect for the knowledge base of physicians and clinicians who wear a tie. Interestingly enough, those that wear a tie are spreading more disease than those that aren't wearing a tie, because they're working on the patients, then straightening the tie, then working on the patient, then straightening the tie, and they're passing this disease by the tie. But in the mind of the audience, and that's who our clients are, patients are, our customers are, who have a choice. Our customers respect someone who wears the tie, someone who has the nice watch, the nice ring, the shine shoes. People notice these things. And it's important to note what people do notice and what people don't notice. I worked on a book for Scientific American Mind called Sleights of Mind. And it talks about, we studied eye tracking and what people watch and what people notice. And so something I'll be talking about in the class is observation. Where should our attention be focused, and how do we focus the attention of others? What do they see and what don't they see? And understanding those and how to use those to our advantage to tell the story we want to tell and to take them on the journey we want them to go on.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Now, let's put this out to the room for those ones of you who are in here. I know that there's some people that have literally just arrived. We will explain all about what's happened to anyone that does flit in late. If there's any questions that anybody's got out there, you can. I think Carl has been collating some. I'm not 100% sure, but you can stick those in the chat bar at the side, and then we'll put them to Paul, and he can answer those for us. But when it actually comes to the course, we're going to give them the dates for that in a moment, and we're going to put a little link up on the screen. We're going to be covering cold reading. Is that right?
Yes.
Cold reading, a selection of mentalism tricks and skills.
Right.
Character building, script work. What else are we doing?
Personality reading, observation, performance skills, mentalism effects that can be performed for small groups or large groups, impromptu, going to be taught, and the specific interests of the individuals. If we want to talk, when you look at my expertise, my expertise is in cognitive anthropology, why people believe the things they believe, why people believe the weird things they believe, and how to make them a believer, how to get someone to join an organization or a group, how to maintain that devotion to that group, and how to make people have theatrical experiences, both as individuals and as groups, how to present those interculturally, from country to country, state to state, and place to place. So these are the sort of skills, but I'm also open, as we go through this, we will be modifying it to the individual needs of each individual that's at the class, because I've taught thousands of hours of university courses, I've performed 10,000 shows. I can modify to whoever we have.
And that's the beauty. I think that...
So let me start to answer some of their questions here, may I? Just read it.
What is the meaning of cold reading?
Right. So I like your Stanley Milgram thing here. Yes, he did a lot of experiments into that. What's the meaning of cold reading? Good question. There's a difference between what's called hot reading and cold reading. Hot reading is like a horoscope in the newspaper, a set of words that appeals to the majority of us. That if we read that fortune cookie fortune, we say, oh, that's so me, because it's a human universal, right? Cold reading is when we look at an individual cold sitting next to us. I know nothing about that person sitting in front of me, and yet by reading them, by looking at them as an individual, I'm able to know with a reasonable certainty a lot about this individual. And this is the sort of work I did as an anthropologist, working with tribes, working with cannibals in South America, working with street gangs in Los Angeles, how to look at people and know things about them. These are the skills that police officers use, that CIA and KGB and MI6, right, that these individuals use on a daily basis. And so some of this information to be able to look at someone and know things about them. And I'll be working with you on those skills.
Okay, so they'll be learning about cold reading and how to perfect that art. What else do we have here? Vince, what about continuing learning afterwards? Well, I would say, Vince, that what you're going to learn over these 2 days, you're going to have down anyway by the end of them.
Mm-hmm.
You're
right.
going to.
At the end of these 2 days, you will have a skill set to be able to go out and perform some pretty spectacular things. I mean, people are going to come up to you after you're done with this class and say, "What did you learn in those 2 days?" And you'll show them, and they will say, "Wow, that was worth it," and that's really changed everything you're currently doing, and it makes you more marketable. And you'll have a better understanding of how to sell yourself as a practitioner, as a performer, as a clinician, how to build your communities, how to communicate your message. I mean, these things that are deeper than just the effects you're going to learn. You can buy a book and learn more effects, but you're really going to learn, as we workshop through individually every person, how to make the experience of what you do better for your customers and clients.
Yep. Okay, fantastic. If anybody else does have any questions, now will be an ideal opportunity to put them up into the room. Where are we? So the actual course itself, the 2-day workshop, this is, for those guys of you at the home that don't know, Paul normally does 1-day workshops. And this is the first time that he's doing a 2-day tell-all the secrets revealed, and being able to have enough time with those delegates to be able to get nice and deep into all the areas that they are going to need. If they do need a little bit of extra help with anything, we have that time on this workshop. And that's the beauty of doing this, because obviously Paul's having to come in from such a long distance to do this. We want to make sure that after that 2 days, everything has been covered and you have got it down 100%, that, nobody needs to be trying to meet up with Paul and having a fly out to Vegas for brush-up sessions. That's why we're dedicating this whole 2 days.
Right. And so when we do this, most of the time, like he says, I do a 2-hour lecture for Magic Circles, right? Even at the Magic Circle in London or the Magic Castle in Hollywood, and these individuals, groups, bring me out to give a 2-hour workshop for mostly seasoned performers already, who I can skip over a lot of the information and just teach the end flourish or the end little piece or end little lift your pinky there, right, bits. And they will often hire me also additionally, for individuals will hire me to give a 2-hour specialty workshop just on scripting, or a 2-hour specialty workshop just on branding and character development and social media, or a 2-hour workshop just on sales. And these are very expensive for people to come to for these little short chunks. Healthcare systems, big, huge healthcare hospital systems in America, hire me to come in and work with their clinicians and clinical people to teach these skills as well. And even big organizations like Apple Computers and Oracle and Sony have hired me to come in and do these things. I've also consulted on theme parks and creating the theatrical experiences for guests in theme parks. And so all of this information is going to be available to you. And over the course of the 2 days, instead of it being just a flat, generic bit of information out to whoever's out there, this will be specific just to those of us in the room in order to help you in your particular needs to go deeper into your particular story. If people are at a higher level, I have information to take you there. If you're just starting in mentalism or hypnotism and performance, we can start there, and we will move back and forth within that. And there will be performance, and there will be learning new skills and overcoming and how to create your character and your story, and even how to sell yourself.
Fantastic. Charlene's put here, are you going to do a show while you're over here? Well, that's something that we're still trying to make happen. If we can make that happen, we will. However, all of those people that are going to be on this workshop anyway, you're going to get 2 days of live performances from Paul, face to face, practically like in an intimate scenario is better than what you get on a big stage.
It's better than a show because you're going to see the effects performed for you as a group and then learn how they're done. And so that's a real bonus there. I've already been booked to be a part of a documentary that's being shot over there on the history of the paranormal. I'm sure that as soon as I haven't announced to all of my customers and clients in the UK that I'm going to be there, I'm sure that things will start to get filled up as that goes on.
Yeah, so that's something that we are working on in the background at the moment. Jimmy made a great point as well. It'll be great as a workshop rather than just a lecture, because you are in a workshop, you've got hands-on, rather than a lecture where you're just having to sit there and listen to somebody talk. You know, it's better to get involved, get hands-on, and get learning. Okay, we have about 10 more minutes left, right? We do. So what we're going to do, we've actually had a change of venue today. We were going to be at the Theobald's Park. We're now going to be at the Park Inn at Heathrow. But that will make it easier for people if they are flying in from around Europe or from around the UK. Some people choose to fly. The Park Inn at Heathrow is like 5 minutes from the terminal. It's a lovely quiet venue, as much as it can be on an airport. You can't hear anything where the conference rooms are situated. You're not interrupted by that. So that's where that's going to be, and it's going to be on the 20th and 21st of June this year. So that's the Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and the 21st of June. Now I should be able to just put the screen on here. Oh, there's Carl in the background. Should we turn your mic on, Carl?
Yeah, hello folks. I don't know what happened there. I'm sitting here looking at questions. Just a quick one, Paul. I was just asking in the background. We were just talking away. What techniques? We've got a lot of therapists out there. While Chris is just going through that information, what techniques would you suggest that people could use in a therapy environment, in a clinician environment, to support their goals on the day with their clients and stuff like that?
I think that the big piece that most clinicians miss out on is what is the journey, the experience of the patient outside of just the therapy session. What is there? Where does the patient's journey begin? Where does the journey end? Who are the characters within that journey? What's that relationship between clinician and patient? Where is the patient going? How do we signpost to that journey in a way that makes that individual feel like they are moving in an order sense? What are they a member of that's important? What meaning are they deriving from this experience? I mean, going into these pieces that will make more sense when we're talking about it. Proofs of power of the clinician. I mean, being able to showcase these abilities and powers as they go through this will make the client feel better about this individual. They have a wide variety of people to choose from. How do we maintain that client and retain them is by creating not just the show, right, but the human experience. And that includes lighting and sound and staging and scripting and these things that many clinicians haven't thought about incorporating into their day-to-day work.
Okay, cool. Is there anything that you might be able to show anyone that, the power of what simple things that you may be able to just do for us poor minions at this moment in time?
Well, let me show you something that I do a lot on TV and in shows and such that's fun. So we have a little teaspoon there. Let's see if we can just get it to... And that's something that everyone will be able to walk away able to do at the end of this class.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Chris.
Yeah. I've put the pop-in up. That should be around somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be on everybody else's computer. For me, it's come up in the bottom right-hand side of my screen. It's the pop-in, which is a direct link to the website, so that you guys can get over there and you can start reserving your places on this course. this is a massively reduced rate for this initial part. You know, as this starts filling up, obviously we are going to be putting the price up on this, and it is going to be quite sharpish. But for just £399 for the 2 days, you get all of Paul's time learning all of those things that we've spoken about over the duration of this webinar here. And also in the top of the chat box, I've put a note at the top, and that is a link that takes you directly to the course page on our website, which gives you a full breakdown, a full list of each and every subject we're going to be covering. Plus, you know, there's going to be other bits and pieces as well that, you know, I've missed off of that course page anyway. But, you know, I think you've had a good grounding here today over this webinar about everything that we're going to be covering. If there are any more questions, now will be a phenomenal time to throw it into the chat bar before we bring this to an end. For those of you that did come in, and like we have explained a couple of times this evening, we have our problems with Webinar Jam, thinking that our Greenwich Mean Time is an hour out from where it actually is. You will be sent an email, I promise you, within the next 24 hours-ish with a link to the replay. Either that, or you can go to YouTube and go and find the UK Hypnosis Academy YouTube page, and it will be on there within the next few hours. I'll get that up for you. Is there anything you'd like to say, Carl, before we conclude?
No, I mean, obviously, I met Paul last year, and it was, you know, for what we watched with yourself and Jeff as well, it was absolutely transformed the way that I do things. An unfortunate set of circumstances stopped me going to work with Jeff last year, and I'm thoroughly looking forward for you to be here in the UK in June. You know, we can add it to everything that we're doing and pass on your knowledge as well. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing you again and learning what you can, you know, pass on to us.
This is very exciting for me because hypnosis is a reasonably new area for me. Last year, as you said, I performed at HypnoThoughts Live, this enormous convention at the Orleans in Las Vegas, and I performed only a 20-minute show. And from that, they've asked me this year to perform a full hour-and-a-half show at HypnoThoughts Live, and so it's something that resonated with the hypnotists, and I think it's something that hypnotists, once they saw it, they realized this is something we need that can add to what it is we do. And that's what I'd like to share with you before I share with anybody else in the world, is how to incorporate these ideas into the work that you're already doing so that you have it before anyone else does.
It was amazing.
Of course, we've got you're here in the June, and then the HypnoThoughts this year is in the August, which I think last year it was in the July. They shifted it. They couldn't get the venue or something like that when they wanted it. So yeah, you guys here are privileged, as Carl and I are privileged to have, you know, Paul come and choose to work with us here at the UK Hypnosis Academy as another one of our international trainers to want to come in and work with us. And you know, this is going to be an absolutely phenomenal weekend, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity that people they can't afford not to be there. Let's put it that way. They can't afford not to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree with Chris. It's going to be amazing. So it'll be great to see you again, mate. You know, we'll see you in good old Blighty, and we'll show you the fish and chips of England, and we'll move along that way.
You know, in America, we spend all of our time hearing our fairy tales are all based in England, right? We imagine not Paddington Station, but the bear, right? We imagine he's down in South America, but we imagine not the Big Ben, but we see Peter Pan flying around it, and Sweeney Todd on Fleet Street, and Portobello Road in The Magic of Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and Sherlock Holmes on Baker Street, right? We imagine these things, and then we take all of these dream ideas, all of these fairy tales, and we repackage them as movies, and we ship them back to you. So, but it's a dream to come over there. So thank you, and I hope people sign up, and thank you to all of the wonderful attendees in the room for watching.
That's it. And for those of you that are still in the room with us at the moment, the ones that will get the replay are going to get this same offer as well. So you know, this is going to be going out to a lot more people than they're just here right now. But at that top bar where you've got your chat, if you go across, it says polls and stuff like that. If you click on pop-ins, I think you may need to click the tab, guys. that is your direct link right there to that special offer of £399 for the 2 days. We did have somebody ask a question earlier saying, are there any discounts on Paul's other products?
Yeah.
You're not going to need Paul's other products. You're getting it all. We are
I'll be teaching everything from my products in the class.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a privilege to speak to Paul. If you just hang on the line for a second, Paul, once we conclude this, I'll just have a quick chat with you. Everybody, we'd just like to thank you very much on behalf of myself and Carl and Paul Draper, of course, out in Jeff McBride's house currently. We'd like to thank you for attending today, and we want to thank you as well for watching the replay of the webinar. It's a shame that, unfortunately, due to time constraints and stuff like that, that we haven't been able to deliver it exactly as initially planned, but the replay will be there for you. You have until the 19th of June at the very latest to get yourself booked on this, and I can guarantee you by the time that time comes around, this will have doubled in price, this course. So make sure you get there, get to the website. If for whatever reason you can't get the link, go to ukhypnosisacademy.com, click on courses, and it will say Paul Draper, Mentalism and Mind Reading. That will take you through. You can read exactly what was going to be delivered over those 2 days. Go through, purchase it through the website, and that will be your ticket to a brighter future in Mentalism and Mind Reading with Paul Draper. Thank you very much, everybody. We're going to conclude this right now.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.